All is not well with the Imo State Judiciary. For the first time, the High Court of Imo State proceeded on vacation without setting up the traditional vacation courts, which handles cases of emergency that arise during the period of the vacation. Imo people in desperate need of access to justice cannot access the judiciary of Imo State in this vacation period. And the government of Imo State does not seem bothered about this situation. In the midst of the vacancy at the top echelon of the Imo Judiciary, the governor of Imo State removed the Attorney General of Imo State, Chief COC Akolisa, on the 2nd day of May 2025. Just like the office of the Chief Judge of Imo State, the office of the Attorney General of Imo State has been vacant since 2nd May 2025 till date. The governor seems not to appreciate how critical the two offices of the Chief Judge and the Attorney General are in a democracy. Against the risk of sounding immodest, no responsible government can function smoothly without an Attorney General and the Chief Judge of a state, not even under a military regime. Besides the sacred functions made exclusively for the Chief Judge and the Attorney General of a state, there are other many national bodies which the state Attorney General and the Chief Judges are statutory members. Keeping the offices of the Imo Chief Judge and the Attorney General vacant since 14th November 2024 and 7th day of May 2025 respectively hampers the smooth and efficient running of the justice delivery sector and by extension democracy in the state. Yet, the government of Imo State seems unconcerned. For nearly 6 years, since Governor Hope Uzodimma assumed office as the governor of Imo State, there has been no major policy or investment targeted at improving the justice delivery system in Imo State. Rather, things keeps worsening. Magistrates and law officers of the Imo State Judiciary are still earning among the most poorly remunerated in the entire country. Magistrates in the Imo State judicial system have been using their cars to serve the state, while those of them who could not afford cars ply public buses to attend court sittings. The last government investment in the judiciary sector in terms of infrastructure dates back under the government of Rochas Okorocha, when the new High Court Judiciary Complex was built at New Owerri. Beyond that, Imo State Judiciary has continued to operate under poor infrastructure, poor remuneration of judicial officers and staff, and lack of investment in new technology that enhances effective justice delivery system. In all this, it is the citizens of Imo State who bear the brunt of poor justice delivery system in Imo State. Since the National Judicial Council removed the former Chief Judge, Justice Teresa Chukwuemeka Chikeka, the Imo State Judiciary, which is saddled with the responsibility of delivering justice to the people of the state, has become a shadow of itself. For the first time, succession in the Imo State Judiciary has become chaotic, disorganized, and uncertain. Prior to the removal of Honorable Justice T.E. Chukwuemeka Chikeka as Chief Judge of Imo State by the NJC, the state had witnessed stable and organized leadership transition from one Chief Judge to another. This has been the case since the return to democratic rule. In 1999, Honorable Justice P.C. Onomajulu handed over to Honorable Justice B.A. Njamanze. Honorable Justice Pascal Nnadi took over from Honorable Justice B.A. Njamanze, and at the end of his tenure, Honorable Justice Pascal Nnadi handed over to Justice I.O. Agugo, who stepped in on acting capacity. Then, Honorable Justice Teresa Chukwuemeka Chikeka took over from Honorable Justice Imo Ogugo, who finished her 6-month tenure in acting capacity. Honorable Justice T.E. Chukwuemeka Chikeka will go on to become substantive Chief Judge of Imo State. Permit me to say, before the emergence of Senator Hope Uzodimma as Governor of Imo State, previous administrations had honored the tradition of the judiciary as established by Section 271 sub 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as variously amended, which allows for the most senior judge of the Imo State High Court to assume the role of Chief Judge pending when a new Chief Judge will be appointed by the governor. There was no crisis of succession during the Achiku Denwa administration. There was no crisis of succession during the Ike Hakim administration. Neither was there any crisis of succession during the Rocha Sokorocha administration. However, within the 5 years of Senator Hope Uzodimma as Governor of Imo State, 3 persons has assumed the office of Imo Chief Judge, either in acting capacity or substantive capacity. And in most of the 3 cases, all had ended up in chaotic manner. How did the state get here? As someone will ask, everything boils down to the quality of leadership. When leadership is bad, every institution struggles. This is the sorry state of Imo State, where quality leadership is determined by mere delivery of road construction, flyover, or buildings like a conference center. The Imo State judiciary crisis commenced after the governor allowed the most senior judge to assume office in acting capacity in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution upon retirement of Honorable Justice Pascal Nnadi. To date, no one except the governor can explain why Honorable Justice Imo Ogugo was not recommended to the NJC for appointment as substantive Chief Judge at the end of his statutory 6-month period in acting capacity. Upon serving out the tenure in acting capacity, Honorable Imo Ogugo gave way for Honorable Justice Teresa Chukwuemeka Chikeka, who not only served as acting Chief Judge, but was appointed substantive Chief Judge Imo State in place of the most senior in the Imo State Judiciary ranking, Honorable Justice Imo Ogugo. Honorable Justice Chukwuemeka Chikeka was eventually removed by the National Judicial Council on allegation of falsification of age in a petition allegedly orchestrated by proteges of the governor. Upon the removal of Honorable Justice Teresa Chukwuemeka Chikeka as Chief Judge on the 14th day of November 2024, the Imo State Judiciary has been without a Chief Judge, and the governor feels unperturbed by this worrisome development. Then, after several months of agitation by the stakeholders in the Imo State legal and justice delivery sector, the governor did the unthinkable on the 2nd day of April 2025, when the government surreptitiously swore in Honorable Justice T.N. Nzuku as acting Chief Judge of Imo State. The swearing-in ceremony of 2nd April 2025 was wrapped in absolute secrecy without notice to the members of the Imo State branch of the Nigerian Bar Association and other stakeholders in the Imo State justice delivery sector. By the time the governor appointed Justice T.N. Nzuku as acting Chief Judge, he was only 4th in the ranking of Imo State High Court judicial hierarchy. Before him were Honorable Justice Imo Ogugo, Honorable Justice Ann O. Ononeze Mado, and Honorable Justice E.O. Agada. The appointment of Justice T.N. Nzuku was immediately rejected and condemned by the Owerri branch of the Nigerian Bar Association. They described the appointment as a flagrant violation of the express provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, which the governor swore to protect. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afamosigwe, reiterated the position of the NBA Owerri branch and directed that the governor reverse the appointment of Justice T.N. Nzuku, but as usual, the governor refused to budge. Governor Hope Uzodimma insisted on having his way, that the fourth in ranking remains acting chief judge despite the widespread condemnation and clarity of the constitution on the matter.
We disassociate ourselves from that kangaroo style. The people that are bending the forces are bar politicians, they are professional bar politicians who want to hijack the system, who are not happy that the governor has done the right thing, who want the state to be without a chief judge or acting chief judge. Honorable Justice T.N. is a good one. Is in accordance with the tradition of MB Owerri and Imo State at large. So those who are crying foul should stop. I congratulate Honorable Justice T.N. and thank the governor of Imo State.
The governor insisted on having his way until the 25th day of June 2025, when the National Judicial Council made a resolution reversing the appointment of Justice T.N. Nzuku as acting chief judge of Imo State and compulsorily retired him. In ordering the compulsory retirement of Justice T.N. Nzuku, the NJC stated that the resignation was because he made himself available to be sworn in by the governor as acting chief judge against the clear provisions of the Constitution, which says only the most senior judge in the Imo State High Court system can be sworn in as acting chief judge. The president of the Customary Court of Appeal, Imo State, who headed the Imo State Judicial Service Commission that recommended the appointment of Justice T.N. Nzuku, narrowly escaped the big hammer of the NJC because, according to them, he showed sufficient cause that he advised the governor on the position of the Constitution against swearing in Justice T.N. Nzuku, who was fourth in ranking. In reversing the illegality of Governor Hope Uzodimma appointing the fourth in ranking as acting chief judge, the NJC, in its resolution of the 25th June 2025, directed Governor Hope Uzodimma to immediately swear in the most senior judge, Honorable Justice Imo Agugo, with immediate effect. Despite the NJC directive, the governor failed to act until the 23rd day of July 2025, when the governor released a statement inviting the most senior judge, Honorable Justice Imo Agugo, to proceed to be sworn in as acting chief judge of Imo State. The question is, why should the state be subjected to a cacophony before the governor will comply with a simple constitutional provision? Why will the governor expose the entire system and body of administration of justice in the Imo State Judiciary to ridicule just to satisfy his own personal schemings? The removal of Justice T.N. Nzuku by the NJC was avoidable if the governor had done the honorable thing of not allowing his ego and personal interest to override the Constitution and the common good. Honorable Justice Imo Agugo has twice been shortchanged in the appointment of substantive chief judge of the state. This sordid experience, coupled with the knowledge of the antics of the governor, seems to have informed the reason Honorable Justice Imo Agugo may not be willing to present himself for another phony 6 months appointment as acting chief judge. The consequence is that Imo State is the only state in Nigeria operating without a constitutional head of the third arm of government, as critical and vital as the judiciary. For the first time in the Imo State Judiciary, succession has become chaotic. The state has gone over 8 months without a chief judge and head of the judiciary in the state. For the first time, A judge will be sacked in Imo Judiciary because he allowed himself to be imposed by the governor as acting chief judge illegally and not constitutionally against the clear letters of the Constitution, which says only the most senior judge shall step in to act in the event of vacancy in the office of chief judge. This is the situation in the Imo State Judiciary, and it seems the governor enjoys the cacophony the Imo Judiciary has become. God bless Imo State. God bless Imo Judiciary. May we not witness this kind of calamity in the history of our darling state again. Thank you and God bless you.